I worked on my business plan, attended business courses, tried to do all the right things we were recommended to do. You know, find yourself a good attorney, a good lawyer, a good banker. Those are the three things you need, and money. So I go to the bank with my business plan, and I gave it to the banker, and he read it, and he gave it back to me, and he said, this is just a bunch of words on paper. Don't quit your day job. I took his advice. I did not quit my day job. But what I did, I knew I needed money, so I started saving. I took advantage of every program my company had to save money. My friends thought I had lost my mind. Said, you're retiring from this place and trying to get out. But they didn't know I had a bigger plan. I set a goal. I said, when I reach this amount, I'm leaving here. And I forgot about getting promoted. I just did a great job. Got to work on time. One day when that little envelope came around and I looked at it, I had met my goal, and I had gone over my goal. I quit the same day. My boss said to me, she said, Padilla, you just having a hard day. We understand. You can go home. But no, I have been working on this thing, and I quit my job. So I'm going to give you the advice that was given me. Most of you are already entrepreneurs out here doing your business. Don't quit your day job. You're going to need money, and the bank's not going to give it to you. But now that I have been in business so long, I understood why the bank said don't quit your day job, because it's not easy being in business. It's not easy being a woman in business. You're going to meet every challenge you can face, okay? You're going to have to know a little something about your business. Every facet of your business, you need to know about it, okay? You need to know about the finances, about getting a lawyer, like an attorney, accountant, and you're on your way. So, and another thing too, very important, bring your credit score up. At one point in my life, I hit bankruptcy. Now, I have over 16 point credit score. That's our way to get through. The only thing you have is your name, your honesty, how you serve, and saving your money, and keep saving. That's our wealth, and that no one can take away from us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Her location is stated.
Okay, yeah, that's one. Okay, one, two, this one.
Right here. Take one more. Please hold it. You got it.
Yeah, I'm trying to move that way. Necesitamos cubrir. Yeah.
1648 Amsterdam Avenue is where her business is.
No, better.
Just so you know, the speakers, the honorees, we have to keep it short because we have a panel afterwards, so we want to make sure that we get to them.
Well, thank you so much. I'm Julie Bennett, Councilwoman for the East Side of Manhattan and Chair of the Council Small Business Committee. I first of all want to thank the Women's Chamber of Commerce for the incredible work that they're doing each and every day to support women entrepreneurs. I really congratulate them on everything. And I want to thank my colleague, Councilmember Sean Abreu, who I love serving with. We worked together at the Department of Consumer Affairs many years ago. He's fantastic and a wonderful colleague in the council. And let me give a big shout out to Senator Cordell Clear. We've known each other a long time, and congratulations to you. So very briefly, I'm going to be speaking on the panel, so I'm not going to talk about my background, but I am a small business owner. I started my career as a small business owner, so I'll talk about that in the panel. But I'm here to present an award to Kim Monique Harris. Kim, come on up. So Kim is CEO of an event company called Painting It Red, which is a New York-based event production and marketing firm that conceptualizes, plans, and produces world-class, multi-million-dollar corporate entertainment and marketing events. The latest extension of her company's services deals with hospitality experiences, and she's been consulting on restaurant openings in various cities throughout the United States. She has done such a tremendous job with her company, and it's my pleasure to be able to give her this outstanding award for her leadership.
Who's gonna go first? The paper. I'll take one more. Thank you.
Yeah, please. I just wanted to thank everybody, Kenya and Ben, of course. Thank you for honoring me today. This is a wonderful opportunity. I am also not just the owner of Painting It Red, but I own a craft beer bar in Harlem. It's called Harlem Hops. We just got nominated for a James Beard Award for Outstanding Bar. But I would just like to say I've been in business, in the event production business for over 20 years at this point. My commitment to this community started right here at Columbia University, where they gave me a scholarship. I attended HBCU, but I did programs here at Columbia University, and they gave me a scholarship, and I wrote an essay saying that I was going to come back to my community and create a space for the community, and that's what we have done with Harlem Hops. I'm very pleased with what we have done. I hope you guys can come through. We have beer, booze, bites, and beats. We bootstrapped our business ourselves. We couldn't get along. As many people know, the journey is challenging, but thankfully we were able to save our money through both two of my partners. We have our own businesses, and my other business partner, he's into real estate. So we were able to put our money together and create this beautiful space. And we're opening a location at Pier 57 at Market 57 in a couple of weeks. And we're working on opening Atlanta. So we have a lot of things that are in the forefront for us. But all I can tell you is that it starts off with a dream and a vision, and write it down. Write it down and stay true and consistent to that and never give up, because I worked a long time to get to Harlem Hops, and I'm seeing all the blessings from all that hard work. Thank you.
This next honoree is an energetic wellness entrepreneur, a seasoned manufacturing engineer, and a business management consultant who specializes in project management. As a business coach, she empowers minority and women-owned business enterprises as they navigate government and corporate contracting procurement to scale their businesses. She also leads employee training workshops for nonprofits. Please join me in welcoming Keisha Palmer-Cousins to the stage.
I have to say that this one is a surprise for Keisha. She didn't know she was getting this proclamation. And our contract participants will know how special she is. I don't have to say that much about her because she is amazing. She's been doing work for the New York Women's Chamber for, 6 years? She leads our contractor program, and she is fantastic. So, it is a pleasure.
Thank you. Good morning. I'll keep it short and brief. I am surprised. Thank you, Kenya. I'm going to get you later. But welcome, everyone. I actually met Kenya at an event like this. And right over tea, we started talking, and, she said she had a problem and she needed to be solved, which was like, just someone to provide technical assistance for her marvelous contractor program. I'm like, I can help you. And so I've been subcontracted with her, I guess like about 5 or 6 years now. So I'm very happy to see a lot of the contractor graduates in the room, current participants, and everyone else. So good morning, and thank you for this wonderful award. I feel like I'm just so connected to the chamber. I mean, I was last year's Black History Month Mover and Shaker awardee. I was a New York Women in Excellence awardee. I just love being part of the family I fought, the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce. So again, thank you for this award. And this is like coming back home. I'm from Money Earned in Mount Vernon, but I was raised in the suburbs in Washington Heights and also Harlem. That's where my grandparents lived. So my father owns a moving business. So we had 2 locations, one in Mount Vernon, one in Harlem, and then another one, actually 3 in Washington Heights. So I'm used to moving. I have a lot of energy. You talk about my background. So I just make it my mission to help every single minority and women-owned business that I can, that I come in encounter with, give them the encouragement and strength to say that you can do it. I left a 24-year career as an engineer, project manager at Verizon. I put in data centers for Bloomberg. I put in the whole New York Police Department telecommunications network. I walked away because as I was working on these high-powered projects, I saw that a lot of small and minority women-owned businesses were not getting a piece of the pie. And so I left there to help them get a piece of the pie with my engineering and marketing background. So I encourage you all to just never give up, just keep it going, and you can do it and help make a difference to someone that touched you along the way. Okay, so again, thank you for this award.
Is Susana here yet? She's dropping her kids to school. Mothers.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Oh, come on. Good morning. Good morning. All right. I'm Senator Cordell Clear, and I want to thank Kenya for having this important gathering and ceremony. And I just want you to know that, yes, I represent Harlem, but I also represent West Harlem, East Harlem, El Barrio, a portion of the Upper West Side, this area right here, Morningside Heights, and a portion of Washington Heights. Yes. And Hamilton Heights. Okay, in that house. Hamilton Heights too, thank you. So I just want to let you know, when I was first elected to the Senate, I was asked to chair the Women's Issues Committee. And I spent so much time figuring out, what's the Women's Issue Committee, right? What is that? And then I just came to the conclusion, it's everything. Everything is women's issues. They're everywhere. There are unique challenges presented by those issues. And it was a pleasure running that committee. I now sit on the Committee for the Aging, which is also an equally exciting committee and great work. I'm not going to take too long. I just want to give you some highlights because we happen to be in the budget season. The budget has to pass by April 1st. So I've literally not been to my district until today, so that I could spend some time, and I'm going right back up on Monday because, we got to get in there. And we got to fight for our districts and fight for what we want. But we did come out with our One House budget, which is the budget that the Senate and the Assembly come to an agreement on that they're going to present to, well, for us, the Senate agreed on this budget that we're going to present to the governor after we went over her budget. And I can tell you that in the One House budget, we have allocated $100 million to establish a small business development grants program. We've also put in $7.5 million to establish the New York State Entrepreneurial Training Grants Program. We put $2.4 million in additional support for the Minority and Women-Owned Business Development and Lending Program for a total of $3 million. And we are providing for minority and women-owned business enterprise, state and local certification, reciprocity by an administrative process, and increasing the state's MWBE discretionary buying threshold to $750,000. And we did a few other things, but I'm not going to keep reading those things out because I was asked to I was asked to present an award to someone. But I do want to say this. I talked to some of you, but I knew this even before I talked to some of you in the room, and some of you I already know. When women come to the table, it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. Women bring their hearts. They bring their families. They bring their community with them. And we have long been leaders in every single aspect. Growing up, if I just look back, every block association president was a woman. Every tenant association president was a woman. Every usher board, every auxiliary in the church, headed by a woman. Our parent associations, more than likely headed by a woman. We have always led, we've always taken care of community. And it's what we still do right now. So, I always brag about this. I represent the 30th Senatorial District, which was first represented by a woman 50 years ago, Constance Baker Motley. I'm only the second woman to ever hold this seat. And she was the first black woman ever to serve in the New York State Senate in this state. So I'm very proud of that. And every day I follow her footsteps. I try to follow her footsteps. But she's also, lastly, she was the author of the Brown v. Board of Education. Wow. So this is what women do. Okay? So I'm here today, and it is my absolute honor to present an award to Issa Duff Campbell. She is a trilingual multimedia journalist, visual storyteller, and the CEO of African Spot LLC, a certified photo and video agency that creates compelling visual stories for clients. This woman is the publisher of AfricaneHarlem.nyc, a multilingual program news website that celebrates the culture, experience, and contributions of the African diaspora in Harlem and beyond. She has left an indelible impact on the world with her stunning visuals and compelling stories. Please join me in welcoming Issa Duff Campbell to the front.
You're gonna have to let somebody else take your picture.
Dwayne has it. It's okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Now, you know, I happen to know this woman too. This says a lot about her, but there's so much more to her. She's not just a businesswoman. She's active in her community in Harlem. West 116th Street has been the home to our new West African immigrant population. She has stood out front on all the issues, bringing things to us that we need to know, advocating for her community, while at the same time collaborating and connecting to the broader community and representing the issues of not just African people from the continent, but Africans here in America and community in general. So I really have a lot of respect for her, and I have appreciated her being in my community, because we don't do this job alone. We need people to help us, and she's a great mother, and her son calls me auntie, so. Tell Baba I said hello.
Of course, she's also one of our photographers, as you probably know by now.
Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 1 more. I'm gonna take hers from you.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. I'm usually behind the camera, so I usually don't speak in front of the camera. I started my business in 2008. I come from a tiny country called Senegal. If you look at Africa, that little curve in the middle, that's where I'm from. And as we were colonized by the French, coming into Anglophone country is a very difficult journey. So I started my business as a bilingual community news site, and after being a stay-at-home mom for almost 2 years, I had to revamp the business. Those who have children and running a business know what I'm talking about. So I'm still doing the newspaper, but you know, the photography during the day, especially because at night now, you know, I have to focus on Baba. So to me, being in America in general has been a great journey. I was able to achieve a lot of things that I know I would have not been able to achieve somewhere else. So thank you, New York City. Thank you for Kenya for giving me the opportunity to work with the chamber. And I'm telling women entrepreneurs to be focused, to be around people who believe in your dreams, because those who are around you who don't believe in your dreams will shatter them. You need to be around people who understand the journey. It's not going to be easy, but anything worth having is worth a struggle. So let's keep on fighting. Thank you.
All right, so I have the honor of presenting the next 2 awards, and the first one is we're honoring Rebecca Rodriguez. Is she here? Yeah. This person I met. So I'm not going to read all of this, but whereas it is the practice of the New York State Senate to publicly acknowledge individuals who serve the best interests of their community, and thus we recognize Rebecca Rodriguez for exemplary service to her community and state upon the occasion of the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce 2023 State of New York Women in Business event. Whereas Rebecca Rodriguez is an organizational strategist, a mother, small business owner, and a passionate catalyst for the advancement of women, minorities, and small businesses in the state of New York for over 15 years as the founder and principal of EO Strategies, a small business consulting firm specializing in helping minority and women-owned business enterprises be competitive in the public sector. Resolved that I, New York State Senator Cordell Clear, commend Rebecca Rodriguez for numerous years of service to her community and state, and thus urge all citizens to share in this celebration and to take the opportunity to appreciate this distinguished person in our great district.
I have to say also that Rebecca is, with Keisha, leads our Contract Her program. The program is housed under the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce, but it's really their program. I pop in occasionally just to see and really enjoy listening to our women entrepreneurs, but the program exists now in the 6th year because of them. And I want to say thank you to you, Rebecca, because this was a dream that I have. And as somebody said, as you've heard from some of our speakers, you don't do this alone. You never do. When I hear people say, I got to the top, I got to do this alone, I said, no, you did not. You did not. We always get to where we need to get, and we always get to see our dreams become a reality when others believe. So thank you for believing.
I'm going to be quick, but I want to just identify what we've experienced already today. There's been a lot of passion, there's been a lot of grit, there's been stories, there's been ambition, there's been love coming out of this microphone today. And I want to say, like, I'm a child of immigrants, born and raised in Washington Heights, so you know I'm at least half Dominican.
And the other half?
Puerto Rican.
So we lost, Dominican lost, okay, so you know that, right? So we lost to Puerto Rican, so I'm okay with that.
I had a hard time the other night, and I was like, I don't know where I'm going.
I also have a half Dominican, half Puerto Rican grandson, so.
And, you know, I think the beauty of small business growth is that, especially those of us who are children of immigrants, you find a way to create something out of nothing. The sweat of your brow, your ingenuity, your grit, and your sheer desire to make a better life and to make it happen, make it exist. And so my uncles would come from the Dominican Republic, because that's the story of my family as well. And they'd say, Rebecca, where's your business? Like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm helping other people start theirs. And they would be like, well, get going, because this is the way you live. This is the way you provide. And so my passion is, and I really get the privilege of being around environments like you've been exposed to today, because minority-owned businesses and women-owned businesses, they bring everything to what they do. And I have the privilege of helping shape that, refine that, push that, remove a block here and there, but at the end of the day, I really get to see it grow, and it's been the honor of my life to do that. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Kenya for providing a platform to do that. And I hope that we continue in this growing together, because this is where magic happens. Thank you.
Okay, I might be the oldest one, but anyway, this is honoring Carly and Nicole Delena. Are they here?
Yes, they are.
Okay, all right, here they go. So we're honoring Carly and Nicole Delana for the creation and success of Delana's Dolcini. I hope I said that right. All right. A great state is only as great as those individuals and organizations who perform exemplary service on behalf of their communities, whether through unique achievement in professional or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good citizenship. And whereas attendant to such concern, I, New York State Senator Cordell Clear, I'm justly proud to commemorate Carly and Nicole Delana for the creation and success of Delana's Dolcini. And whereas prior to the establishment of Delana's Dolcini, Carly was focused on another industry, visual design. And Nicole, during that time, had been working in the fashion industry. However, through their grandmother, another woman, both sisters had been exposed to not only their grandmother's special cookies, but Italian heritage as well through her family recipes, pulling them back to their passion of cooking. And whereas now Delana's Dolcini is known for their delectable, handcrafted, classic Italian cookies and cakes. They have been a staple at the Queen's Night Market. I hope they brought some. Featured in the New York Times, New York One, Gothamist, the Food Network, and Tribeca Film Festival. At this time, I want to welcome Carly and Nicole to the front. And I hope they have a bag.
Okay. One more.
Who's gonna speak? I knew that.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. So amazing to be in a room filled with amazing women. I've grown the pleasure to know so many of you over this, and thank you, Kenya, for everything. I would definitely say that when the pandemic happened and we nearly lost our business, Damon John says the power of broke, when your back is against the wall, you have nothing left. You're like, what do I do? And we opened up a bake shop here in Harlem inside of Food Town on 121st Street and 3rd Avenue, and it saved our business. When that happened, so thank you, Harlem. Thank you for the love that you've given us and our business. It gave us the idea then, once we were in one grocery store, to start selling to other grocery stores. And once you can have a successful business and start moving forward, then you can start paying it forward to other women. And that's where Kenya and I talked a lot about how do we take what our grandma gave us, right? So a long time ago, we thought we started our business because our grandmother's traditions and what she gave us, but it was really because all of you women helped push us forward. Like, we can't do anything if we don't do it with each other. And so we're going to move mountains together, we're going to create things together, and we're going to live abundant. If you do something with your heart and you live it abundantly, it will grow into abundance. And so thank you guys,
I do want to welcome Assemblywoman Amanda Septimo. I know she's over there, so just come up here, please. And Amanda Septimo is going to be joining us at our panel. Just want to say that Amanda Septimo, I mean, we know each other and I love her dearly, but the reason why I invited her to this is because she also co-chairs the committee for MWB at the state, which is very important.
Welcome, Assemblywoman. I know we have a panel kickoff, so I'm going to be very fast since Julie needs to leave soon. This honoree grew up in the Dominican Republic and immigrated to New York City to pursue a career in hospitality, where she has become an accomplished businesswoman and gastronomy expert. She has successfully founded renowned businesses and restaurants and is a founding member of the Latino Bar, Restaurant, and Lounge Association, advocating passionately for the Latino business community. If you've ever been to Bocaditos in uptown Manhattan, you know, and Mama Sushi, that's by our very own Susana Osorio. Let's give her a round of applause and welcome her to the stage.
Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias. With my strong accent, so I'm going to go briefly about who is Susana Osorio. I came to the United States when I was 14 years old. I became a mother when I was 15, married. I went to high school, straight to high school. It was something new for me. But like I say, I come from a family where in my country, my grandmother, she used to have a pulperia, a grocery store, when I used to help her. So since I was a little girl, I always say that I want to be una empresaria. That's what we say in the Dominican Republic. And this country gave me the opportunity, and being here around all of you ladies, I would not finish telling you my story, but I'm part of Mama Juana family. That's my first franchise, the Mama Juana family, the first one in Dyckman Street, Mama Sushi. We're going up to 6 Mama Sushi, by the end of the year it's going to be 9. Mama Juana, we're going up to 7. I'm part of the one in Dyckman. Bocadito Bistro is a special house that you all welcome to come. And Chinito Latino is another restaurant in Retacito. So in total it's 14. And like I say, I'm a woman that no one can stop me. You know, every morning when I come out the door in my house, I say, God, you are the only one who have the control of my life. In difficulty, nothing stop me. I'm always trying to, not the pandemic, not any problem, nothing is gonna stop me because I'm a strong woman and I'm here to be part of all of you, and you can come with me too. I don't like to talk in the microphone in English because that's not my nature language, because I'm a little bit embarrassed, but I hope I did it good. I hope I did it good. Thank you, gracias, todo, de verdad, from the bottom of my heart. This is so important to me. Gracias. Wow.
Well, I mentioned our sponsor, so we can do that. We can, with all the American, yes, you can do that. Okay. So, we multitask here. So, I want to take this opportunity to thank our sponsor, Ponce Bank, for being our sponsor of this amazing event. And it is, as I mentioned before, we cannot do what we do by ourselves. We do this with the help and the support of all of these people that you see here, but also of our sponsors. Kim, you want to come up here and just say something briefly? Or come on. So it costs money to do this type of event, seriously. It costs money, especially when you do them at Columbia University, yes. Especially when you do it in this type of places, and we couldn't do that if it wasn't for companies like Ponce Bank. So come and say a few words, Kim.
Good morning, all beautiful, beautiful women here today. We're so proud to support Kenya, the New York Women's Chamber of Commerce. Ponce Bank is a community bank. It's been around for over 60 years, and we know more than anybody how important our communities are to us. But not only that, the women that serve our communities. We have an EVP who couldn't be here today, Madeline Marquez, who drives that mission home every day. We have a human resource team that is all women. One of them is here today, Leslie Martinez. We have the head of our IT department and other people here today. Jackie is here. So we know very well that when you hire a woman, when you bring a woman on board, she's going to get things done. And that's what Ponce is. And we hope that all of you guys here will give yourselves a round of applause because you deserve it. And we appreciate everyone that's here today in Kenya for recognizing the work that you do. And we're so proud that we're able to help support this type of event. Because when we're in the community, we have to support the folks that help us. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. So, if you can get some coffee again, you want to just take a tiny break. We are going to start our panel now because I know that our elected officials have to go back to the city council and the assembly and the state. As I've been mentioned, they're working on the budget, which is very important to all of us. So if you want to just take a little break, 1 minute break, so we can start. And we're going to take, if the honorees could just come up here so we can take some pictures quickly. Yes, just bring your award so we can do this.
It's calling.
This is the way it works.
We need the honoree.
I can get the honorees up here for a good picture.
That's my
Congratulations.
Just quickly,
Okay.
do this. Honorees. Some of you can sit.
Make sure I say. I think she's gonna be there. I think her name is Keisha something Butler.
Keisha Butler or something like that?
Yeah. I would love to. I'm gonna have one speak.
We always have the audience up front for the photo.
Okay, everybody, the honorees, please come up to the front with your award. Honorees, sit down.
Manifest sneak past you. Just grab her phone.
You want me to take that? Sounds good to me.
All the honorees, please come to the front for a group shot.
Let me just sneak through here before anything.
What the fuck, Amanda? These windows are not friendly. I tried to get one of her before over there and I literally gave up. Like,
Okay, everybody has to move back a little bit on the side so I can take a picture.
Sit in the chair.
Come a little closer. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, let me check the lighting is back. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go for real. When I count to 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, and 3.
All right, look at me.
Now he goes. He goes. The flash is not on.
It came out.
Thank you so much. What is your name?
It's all right, you got it. Yeah. Right, all the offices here. But I am in the, I reside in the Republican Brooklyn. All right. So we can understand, I am a general representative. We've been having a conversation about
I can hear the beat high. Hello? We have to start the panel now.
and especially all the women.
So if you can go back to your seat. We're going to have time to network, I promise.
Yes, that's the part we're not. That's the part we're not talking about.
Our live and not broadcast.
But I know better. Now you don't want my birthday.
Don't forget that we're going to start.
We have a lot of good people.
Yes, so much.
That's all you're getting?
Are you on the panel?
What's your name?
Hello?
We have a beautiful.
We're going to have time to network. We have to hold until, it's up to 12 or 1 o'clock, but. So let's sit down and let's just. No, but you can continue to talk. So we have a panel today, as I mentioned before. We are now going to talk about the state of the women in business. What is happening with our women entrepreneurs? Where are we right now and where we need to be, and what are legislators doing to advance women entrepreneurs, and what do we need them to do to advance our women entrepreneurs? So we have today our panel, the State of the Women in Business, Challenges and Solutions for Her Business Success. It's what we're calling it. And I want to thank our panelists. Today we have Assemblywoman Amanda Setimo. Thank you for being here, Amanda. As I mentioned before, Amanda is the co-chair of the MWB committee for the state. That's very, very important. Because as you know, the state buys billions of dollars in goods and services. Many of you are certified, MWB certified with the state. So she is very important to you and to me. We also have Councilmember Julie Menon, who, as I mentioned before, is the chair of the Small Business Committee. Also very, very important. And she's at the City Council. Then we also have Rebecca Rodriguez from Real Strategy. As we mentioned before, Rebecca leads our contractor program. And Keisha Palmer-Cousins, who also leads our contractor program. They're going to just briefly introduce themselves, very, very briefly, because you already know a lot about them. And where is Nicole? Are you joining us? Or who's joining us from the two of you? Is it Carly, or do you want to speak, Carly? Huh? We're gonna have to just throw her in there at some point. You know that, right? Yeah.
What would you like to
Yes.
say?
So we're gonna do that with her one of these days.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is gonna be great, and I do want to also do it. And we have Susanna. Susanna, are you joining us? Yes. We need a chair for Susanna. And I do want to do a big shout out to my staff, of course, because without them I couldn't do what I do. Mia Michelle, who's our manager of MWB Services. You all know. Maria Quetel, who's also a part of our team. We have Lawrence Miles somewhere. You know that he's always moving around. Robin Green, who's over there as well, who many of you already know. And Dave is here somewhere also. And I also want to acknowledge some of our board members that are here. I see Orlando over there. Who else is here? Is Mercedes here? No, Jackie Rosario is here also. Jackie is also an MWB certified company, and she owns a logistic company in trucking. So I always have to do that, you know. I'm always doing a shout out and advertising my women-owned businesses. So thank you for being here. So if you, because I just very briefly, if you already said who you were, you don't have to do that. But if anybody wants to just add a little bit about who you are and your role and your company and your role, I would appreciate that. So that way, if we missed anybody, you can go ahead. Who wants to go first?
I'm Carly from Delaney Zocchini. You guys met me earlier. We're a sister-owned business, and I am one of the owners.
I'm Assembly Member Amanda Septimo. I represent the South Bronx. I'm really excited to dig into the work of supporting our MWBEs, but especially VWs in there.
Hi, I'm Julie Menon. I'm City Councilwoman for the East Side of Manhattan, and I'm the chair of the City Council Small Business Committee.
Good morning, Rebecca Rodriguez, Senior Consultant at EO Strategies. Great to be here with you all.
Good morning again, Keisha Palmer-Cousins, CEO and owner of Aerobisol Incorporated. We provide project management consulting and MWBE consulting. I also co-own G&K Sweet Foods. We were a 2014 vendor at the Super Bowl. And we are New York City and New York State MWBE certified. And I forgot to mention, my mother-in-law is State Senator, Majority Leader, State Senator Andrea Stewart Cousins. For those who remember the last name, thank you.
Okay, so you know who I am, Susana Osorio, and I forgot to tell you that I'm part of that new project, which is Quisqueya Plaza, right in front of Mama Sushi in Dyckman Garden. So any events in the future, we are more than welcome to open our plaza to the entire community. Thank you very much. Any question, let me know.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. So we're going to dive right into our questions that we have because in the interest of time. So I want to start with you, Amanda and Julie. What can you tell us about the state of the women-owned businesses in New York City, and I would say also the state at this moment in time? We know that we just went through a pandemic, so we're right now post-pandemic, as we say. And although we see a lot of women, a lot of women-owned businesses have survived, a lot of women are still opening businesses. We know that there's also a lot of challenges and obstacles and a lot of things that we face. And then we saw that report that just came out from the controller about women specifically in MWBE and how they do it. So if you want to talk about that.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Well, first of all, I want to say I am a former small business owner. I used to own a restaurant and catering company called Vine. I had close to 100 employees. My business was located by the New York Stock Exchange, and then it was destroyed on 9/11. I opened my business in 1999. And when my business was destroyed, I started a not-for-profit that was focused on helping small businesses in the community. So now it's really full circle for me now to chair the City Council Small Business Committee. We are really in a dire situation with women-owned businesses. The controller report that you mentioned really talks about the challenges. It talks about the challenges that so few women-owned businesses are getting these MWBE contracts. And I also used to serve as commissioner of several city agencies. I served as commissioner of consumer affairs, so I'm very well aware of the challenges. We have to make sure that commissioners who are running city agencies always have MWBEs at top of mind. When they're making the selection about what contracts to disseminate, it's imperative that they are disseminating them to women-owned businesses. Right now, and the controller's report talks about this, only 5% of city contracts are going to MWBEs. It's shameful. It's unconscionable. So we've been holding oversight hearings in the council really demanding answers about this because we can't continue down this road. The mayor has increased the amount of MWBEs from 500,000 to 1 million. That's so important because now we're gonna make sure that women-owned businesses are getting larger contracts. The council and our speaker announced this in her State of the City. We are creating a portal for MWBEs to be able to apply because one of the challenges, honestly, is it's very difficult. The process is difficult. There's not enough public outreach. So we have a lot of hurdles that we have to overcome, but I can assure you that we're working on them and it's a goal. The mayor's announced he wants to double the amount of MWBEs this year. The council has said that obviously we're creating this portal to make it easier for women businesses to apply, but we're also focused on the public outreach because if businesses don't know how to apply or they don't know about these contracts, that's a problem. And so we're trying to attack it from all these different ways.
And sort of also piggybacking on that, if anyone is familiar with a gentleman named Michael Gardner, he really transformed how MWBE works on the state level. He was leading efforts at the MTA, which does a ton of contracting. And he has actually recently been named the city's first chief business diversity officer. So it is a dire situation in the city right now, but I'm really hopeful that under his leadership, we'll see a lot of really incredible change. And I think contextualizing what women entrepreneurs have been going through is really important. We all lived through the pandemic, but before the pandemic, the women sort of business sector was growing at innumerable rates. We were representing 40% of private-owned businesses here in New York, the fastest growing sort of segment of entrepreneurs. And of course, the pandemic happened to everyone, but before that, women were also in charge of the largest share of tech sort of industry here in New York, which is really different from the other tech hubs in Silicon Valley and Boston that we see growing. And I think that speaks to not only the innovation of women and the power of women in New York, but how some of the structures were supporting that growth. And then the pandemic happened and everything came really to a screeching halt. And the systemic barriers that we know exist continue to show themselves, the disparities within the disparities, if you will. We saw women-owned businesses getting less access to PPP funds, and that's for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is, to get these PPP funds, you need usual relationships with these bigger banks. We know that there's all kinds of disparities in that, and so I think it's really important to note how we're talking about entrepreneurship in one sector, but banking matters, community connection matters, all of these other factors also influence how you're able to weather these storms and grow or not. But not all bad news. One of the things I think that the pandemic also showed us is that women will always continue to innovate. And during the pandemic, we actually saw that women grew the sector of self-employment the most, and it was Latino women and Black women leading that charge in terms of the numbers. And I think that's really robust too. And so I think it speaks to the resiliency of women and the innovation, but it also speaks to the idea that when women are pushed against the wall, they will grow. But we don't always have to wait until women are pushed against the wall. We can find ways to make sure that we're creating systems and structures to support that. But I think we'll talk about that later in the panel, so I won't spoil just yet.
Yes. Thank you so much. And I do want to say, in terms of the city, the report from the controller, that women, one of the things that continues to be a fact, and it hasn't changed in years, and it's a big concern, is that women of color, and specifically Black and Latino women, continue to be at the bottom when it comes to contracting opportunities with the city. And I believe it's also at the state level. So that's something that we really have to look at and start creating pathways to advance them. Because they continue to be at the bottom. And this is from, when we started the MWBE, when we passed the legislation, I believe it was in 2007. And that continues to be the reality of women-owned businesses right now. So that's something that I really we need to work at. Julie mentioned oversight hearings. We need to be there. This is very important, and I cannot say that enough. We really need to be at these oversight hearings. We need to tell our story. They need to hear from you. That's how change really happens. So thank you. Thank you for that. So I am going to ask the next question. What are the main challenges women entrepreneurs face in sustaining, scaling, and growing their business today? And this question is going to Susana and Carly specifically. So if you can talk about that.
This is a very interesting, now that I hear you mention MWBE, because I certified myself in September 2021. And to be honest with you, lady, I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated with everything. I get so disappointed because everything after I went through with the pandemic, I'm not gonna give up my business. I'm not gonna lose my business. I'm still pushing and begging my landlord to please, to wait, that things is gonna get better. But getting and navigating in that system, which is frustrated, even if I don't speak the right language, I have a team right behind me that they speak the language, that they understand everything, and it's very hard, very, very hard as a woman to get a contract with the city. And honestly, I've been trying since the first day that I got certified to get a contract, because I think that's the only way that my business is gonna survive. And looking how this, all the group, all the people getting those big contracts is incredible. And knowing about what I can provide to the community, and you know, if they provide me with a contract and I know that I could do it, I don't get the chance to do it because the big fish goes to someone else. And this is very frustrating. Believe me, my business is still there because I'm pushing. It's like I'm working more than 20 hours. I don't sleep at night. I wake up early. I can't leave because I was trying to run my son to school and, you know, make sure that the employee that I got to be there early and to see how we're going to start the day. But they need to find a way how they can change the system. Honestly, it's not easy to navigate the city system trying to get a contract when you're certified. You're certified for nothing. For nothing, and I'm sorry that I'm being so honest to you. I am, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Because every day we have to go through something different. And they put that information, we do it, the next day is something else. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you.
Thank you, Susanna. And like you, there are many. And that's why we're here today, to hear from you and to see how we can change the system, to make it work for all of you. Because that's why that program, that's why we created that program. So companies like you and all of the other ones that are here can get a piece of the economic pie. So that's important that you're telling us that. And you, Marlene, you want to add anything to that?
Yes, I think the challenges as a business have been so hard, especially through the pandemic. Small businesses, women-owned businesses like us didn't receive any PPP, we qualified for so many grants, so many PPP, and we didn't get any of it, even though they exhausted their funds. And so we had to just, you know, dig our heels in and keep going as much as we could. And so meeting this community and finding everybody and, you know, talking to Kenya about like how do we grow, how do we expand, how do we help each other, you know? If you get a contract, then I need logistics help. How do we do right? How do we do that for each other? And I think that's how we help each other getting the contracts and doing those things. That would be our biggest thing, is leaning on each other, I think.
Thank you. So, Rebecca and Keisha, what are the main, you work a lot with MWB certified firms. As I mentioned before, you lead our contractor program, which is to help MWB women certified companies to be able to navigate the very difficult system that is the city and state MWB system. So what are the main obstacles that are unique to women-owned MWB certified firms that you see? What are they facing when assessing government contracts? What limits them? What are the barriers that you feel that really kept them from really obtaining those contracts and that we can change?
Okay, so some of the barriers that I found is that there's so many different types of certifications, and we should try to make them more streamlined. It's like if you apply for New York City MWB certification, it somehow should qualify you for New York State, but I mean, you know, you can fast track once you get New York City MWB certified, or have some of the other partners certify you. But why can't we just have one application where you're like certified with New York City, New York State, Port Authority, New Jersey, etc. Okay? That's number one. And I've been doing this game since 1999 when I started my business. They keep saying it's going to happen. It's like, what year are we in now? Okay, so that's number one. And then access to capital. I remember when, you know, COVID came on the scene and then we had these PPP loans, etc. and grants and stuff. And I'm like, I kept looking, I live in Westchester County. So I kept looking at the list of companies getting these loans and grants. I'm like, okay, I don't see any minorities on this list. And so let me tell you, every month I would see my county legislators, the county executive. I'm like, hi, by the way, I don't see a minority listed on this group, okay? And so after like a year and 2 years of complaining, guess what? We were instrumental, myself and some other people, with our county finding $5 million somewhere to give to all MWBEs that are Westchester-based businesses in Westchester. Let me tell you, they were eligible for a reimbursable grant from $1 to $40,000. And to be fair, right, and so to be fair, guess what? They gave everyone $20,000 across the board. That's a huge confidence booster for you saying, you know what, I can start this year, 2023, with 20G, okay, to just do something with, okay? Because you probably put more than that in your business the previous year, all right? So access to capital would be key. And then access to skills and training and a mentor. I remember like years ago coming into a room like this and coming from corporate, becoming like a full-time MWBE. I don't know how to work the room as an MWBE. I don't know how to ask for stuff or to ask somebody, can you mentor me? And so throughout the years, I've learned. And so that's how, like, you know, I learned to get certified, to be on the list. As I mentioned, my company is G&K Sweet Foods too. We were able to get a 2014 Super Bowl contract. We were slinging our sweet potato pies at the VIP party at MetLife Stadium, right? And so how I was able to become a vendor there was I have a food business, right? So the NFL had, you know, major food contracts, but there was a woman-owned business that had an event planning business, and she subcontracted out to like 35 or more MWBEs. So my contract was with the event planning company that helped put on the party at the Super Bowl. But guess what? I was at the big game. It doesn't matter. I was a subcontractor, and I was there with celebrities and other people. But the whole point is, my company was chosen because we were listed in the New York City MWBE directory and also the state MWBE directory. Because if you remember, in 2014, the Super Bowl was hosted by the state of New York and New Jersey. And let me tell you, when I got the email, and again, MWBEs, open your darn emails and answer them. Because I got an email, and it was from the NFL host committee, and it was given to me the week after the Super Bowl for 2013. So I told everyone, you got that email? They're like, yeah, but it's probably like spam, it's a hoax. I'm like, so I was one of the few people that literally every month met with the NFL, followed up, and by the time that was in February of 2013, November, I had a contract. And we were still looking for MWBEs because people still thought it was a hoax, right? So they want to have a New York, New Jersey catering, you know, like competition. No one was answering their email. So open your emails, answer the phone. And the last thing is, you know what? You have to make sure you get like a mentor. It's very key. Because I came from engineering and project management at Verizon. I didn't have a food background. But I went to like an event like this that was given by Essence Magazine. A woman by the name of Michelle Hoskins. She was a sister, and she was the only panelist that said, anybody who needs a mentor, come see me. I'm like, okay, mentor, no, I don't own a food business, but I'll keep in touch with her. And I'm glad I did, because then one of my friends asked me to partner with her, because my company in Robinsville had been around since 1999. And then she said, well, can you try the food business with me? I'm like, okay, fine, but I don't have a mentor. I reached out to Michelle. She's in Chicago. I went in her office. For a whole day, she met with me, told me everything from soup to nuts, how to take our recipe to retail. And let me tell you, that was very, very, very helpful for us. So again, she is the #1 and only provider of syrup for all the Denny's restaurants in the country because of that discrimination lawsuit that happened. And so the timing was very right, but she was also certified, okay? When Jessica Jackson came in and brought her in the room with Denny's, but get certified, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
see how passionate she is about MWB, seriously. Thank you. Rebecca.
I'm gonna echo the benefit of having a mentor or somebody to guide you through this. I landed a multi-year compliance contract. I knew most of the scope, but not all of the scope. And so I think it's one thing to identify is that generally speaking, we as women, and there's studies about this, we will opt to not go after something if we don't feel confident that we can fully do it. And we should not do that. You will find a way to do it. And so, kind of like Keisha, I went to an event where there was someone who was very well known in the compliance space. And I say this jokingly, but I kind of stalked her. And I went to her after the panel and I was like, look, I came here for you. Don't be scared. I came here for you because I need to know this thing. And I'm wondering if you could help me. And she was like, 100%, let's go out to dinner. And she laid it all out for me. And we met several times. And I knew exactly, by the time I performed on that contract, with some of you who've had public contracts, so you know there's the signing and there's the actual doing, or when it happens. By the time I got to it, I knew exactly what I was doing, but I didn't know that when I bid for the project. And so I think there is value in saying, you hunt for contracts, you hunt for sales, you hunt for mentors, and what you're looking for. So I think that's one. The other obstacle that I'm gonna say is that the public sector in particular is a very, it's large, it's nebulous, it's opaque. And in the contractor class, we sometimes joke about the information is out there, good luck finding it. And so I think part of it too is an obstacle is really deep understanding of how the public sector works. Because you build what you do. And there's a lot not related to what you do that makes you competitive in the public sector. So I do think that one obstacle that contractor is an answer to that, but that there needs to be more investment in is actually how to do business with the city. And I don't mean a workshop. This is something that you have to dig deep into. This is an entire audience. This is a separate industry. This is a separate type of client. And I think the third piece I would say, as like the small business owner said earlier, don't quit your day job, don't quit your private contracts. You will need to keep some variety in how you operate because the public sector works on no one's timeline but their own. And it is something that, for as much as I think it's wonderful that we are talking about how to properly support MWBEs, the city also can put you out of business. And there's plenty of stories about that. And so, which leads into my final piece of advice that I go through. The obstacle is, we understand that local government, state government, these are multi-billion-dollar opportunities. Small businesses, women-owned businesses, you navigate on what comes from here. You need to know what is right for you before you walk in the room. I will tell you, I have said no to contracts. Even though I know when I get in there, I want to do it. But I've said no because I know it doesn't work for me. And knowing where your line is will help you as you're pursuing and growing, because this is more than, getting contracts is great and we all celebrate that and we want more of that, but you want something that's gonna help you grow. And not every contract opportunity will do that. So that's my fourth.
Thank you, Rebecca. Going back to Amanda and Julie, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it for questions. I know that Julie has to leave, and I want to give an opportunity quickly. So at this moment in time, we heard about the probability certification, which we all know, and in a perfect world, my dream is that we will have a portal, just like college, when you apply to college, and then, there's one application, and then you decide which one, and then they contact you. That's what we should be doing at this moment in time, right? One portal, and that's it. So in this perfect world, that's what I want to see. But I want to hear from both of you, what plans do the city and state have to increase the participation of women, specifically women of color, in city and state contracts at this time? What legislation, if there's any, are you,
have on the table right now, you're pushing for, what's happening in City and State?
Sure, so I'm happy to go, and then I apologize that I have to leave. We are actually in the middle of budget hearings right now. So a couple different things that I want to hit upon. In terms of the portal, as I mentioned, Speaker Adams announced in the State of the City that we are working on a portal. Obviously, the administration has to do it. You know, the interplay between the council and the administration is the council. Obviously, we passed legislation to mandate it, but that's something that we're going to be working on is this uniform portal. I do want to say that earlier this year, the council passed and the mayor signed my bill to create a one-stop shop portal for every single city license and permit. So basically, it is huge because previously, and I say this as a former small business owner, you'd sometimes have to take off days off work dealing with all the licenses and permits. So we're going to be rolling this out at the end of the year. It's one website, one app, and it's a complete consolidation of it. So I'm really happy about that. Thank you. And the other issue I wanted to mention that we haven't really touched on is the disproportionate responsibility that women in the society face for childcare and elder care. I'm a mother of 4, and so earlier this year, the council passed and the mayor signed 5 of my bills to create universal child care.
Yes.
This is so important. On average, child care in New York City is costing $21,000. That is simply unaffordable for the vast majority of New Yorkers. So through my bills, we are going to be getting to universal child care. And that's incredibly important. Like as Susanna was mentioning, dropping her son off, I dropped my daughter off this morning. It's really hard. If you don't have universal child care and you're a woman-owned business, you can't do it all. It's very, very difficult. So we're gonna attack it by trying to subsidize child care for those that need it. So I want to make sure to mention that. And then a couple other quick points I want to touch on. So right now, 2,000 MWBEs have received contracts from the city. That's, again, a shameful number. 2,000? We have 11,000 registered MWBEs. That number is also way too low. So my opinion, the problem is outreach. The problem is the city is not doing enough outreach to get more MWBEs registered. This portal that I mentioned that the speaker has prioritized will make it easier to apply, gets to the issue that Susanna is raising. So we got to get more people to register, but then we've also got to attack it by getting more women-owned business to actually win these contracts. And that, again, comes down to putting pressure through oversight on the city agencies, making sure that you, as you mentioned, that we have all of you come to testify at the oversight hearings that we have, because we need to hear your stories. So again, I really want to thank you all for having me, thank the Chamber for the incredible work that they're doing. Anna from my team will stay, so if anyone needs to get in touch with me, Anna, raise your hand. Please give a card, and we're happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you so much.
So I want to plus one everything Julie just said. We, at the state level, we're working from a few different angles. First, we do have a couple pieces of legislation that are working specifically to target the MWBE problem, as we all seem to dub it. One of them is rooted in making sure that when an MWBE gets rejected for a contract, that they are given a written rejection letter that outlines why specifically you didn't get chosen, and also gives you pointers on how to improve your future applications. And that, I think, you know, of course we want it to serve as a point of reflection and growth for the business, but really it's meant for the state to examine and really interrogate themselves and say, why exactly can't you give this company the business? Because I think that we can name it. There's racism, there's sexism, there's all sorts of things that play into some of these decisions, many times unconscious bias. And so this is an opportunity to really interrogate those decisions and say, why can't you go the extra mile, and force them to consider going the extra mile to make sure that these businesses get the business. And then another bill that we're fighting for, that I hope we're able to get, but Albany is a complicated place, is a state agency 3-year growth plan in terms of MWBE spending. So forcing every state agency to come up with a plan on paper that they share publicly that says this is how we are planning to increase our MWBE participation in terms of spending. And so that's something that we're excited about. But then, you know, MWBEs are also businesses, they're small businesses, right? We're focused on a particular segment, but when you serve the small business community, you're also helping our MWBE community. I'm really proud that we supported a first in the nation $200 million small business fund that was meant to support businesses that were founded during the pandemic or just before who have small capacity. A really fascinating statistic is that nationally, 90% of small businesses run by women only have one employee, and that's themselves. 90%, right? That's basically the entire sector. And so designating funds to help that segment of businesses grow capacity is something that I'm really proud of, and I think it's money that we will continue to re-up. So I'm really excited to see the state focusing there. And then finally, there are all sorts of indirect ways that you can make sure that MWBEs are being prioritized. So as Julie was saying, we want to make sure that we're doing outreach, make sure that folks get registered, that we're digging into the parts of our community that don't always get spoken to. It is a really opaque process. So in rooms like this, but also rooms that are maybe more non-traditional. Folks who are running a local restaurant and who can now end up at the Super Bowl, those sorts of opportunities. But then from a state level, also examining our procurement process. We know that when people bid on contracts, there's a point system. And so how do you up the number of points that's saying for every MWBE contractor that you work with, you will get more points on your contract, and that's how you win, right? And making sure that we're not just talking about incentivizing and making sure that we're reaching these goals, but that we're structuring our work in a way that reflects that. And I have a bunch more to say, but I will pass it over to her.
I love her. Thank you. Thank you so much, Amanda. And everything that you spoke about, those are things that, that we definitely need. One of the things that I could tell you also that, because the state and the city increased their discretionary award, which is a really big and important thing for all of us, for all of you, because that's specifically fought that fight for small MWBEs, because it was very hard. So the bidding process is very hard. So with the discretionary award, you don't have to bid. It's a discretion of the agencies. But one of the things is that we have to find a way to list those opportunities, because you can't find them. You can't find them. You have to wait for somebody to come and reach out to you. And I really think that after a certain, that one of the reasons why we fought for that was to make it available, to make the opportunities available to small MWBEs. So that really needs to be addressed. Because the question that we get now, yes, let's find it out, but where do we find it? Where are these opportunities?
Thank you for sharing that. And I've got to tell you, these conversations are really meaningful because we learn a lot. Julie and I were just talking about, like, okay, how can we come up with a state and city certification? I know you've been talking about it for 20 years. This is only my second term, so I'm committed to trying to work on it now. But this is a learning opportunity, and that's helpful to hear, and I'm looking forward to hearing more throughout this day. And as the time continues, I'm new to, the assembly is really a place where you kind of make up your own roles. And so I just joined the MWBE committee on the assembly side as a vice chair, and I'm looking forward to digging into community, learning the problems and the solutions that you all already are naming. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So we're going to open up the floor for a couple of questions, unless any one of you want to add anything else before I open the floor. So we have a first question. So I'm going to walk the room now. Please state your name and the name of your company, what type of and your
So
questions.
greetings everyone. Thank you panel for all of the information that you have given us. My name is Terry White. I am a gerontologist. I own a labor elder care where we provide aging and elder care services. So as Julie started to talk about, we talk about the child care, but we also talk about the elder care. There are many people in this room, in addition to taking care of children, are also taking care of older adults. And they're trying to run their business. And we don't talk about exit strategies, right? So, saving for our pensions, our self-directed IRAs, all of these things, and we're putting this money out. These are conversations, I think, also part of HR that we need to have policies in place. We talk about one employee so that when you do hire, you can have a handbook to pass something on. I just want to all of us to think about that elder care piece. And today we're growing our business, but someday we're gonna exit our business. And how are we gonna do that? And in the process, how are we supporting our employees who are also caregivers? When we talk about legislation, we need to have money for that. I want to work with more of you around providing that in your companies. It is extremely important for us to think about it. At any moment, any one of us can become disabled.
I have other folks have thoughts to share, but I think this really, many important things that you listed there, but I think this really highlights the intersection that we were talking about. We're talking about business, but there's really all these other parts of life that influence it. One of them, especially as a woman, one of the main sort of platforms that we've been pushing on the state level for the last couple of years, and they sure will get it over the line this year as well, is fair pay for home care, which is really addressing the home care shortage that's existing in New York State and making it so that folks are left without options and then family ends up stepping in. And right now, home care work is minimum wage work, and that's why you see the shortage really persisting, because it's backbreaking, really difficult, hard work, but it's not really being compensated accordingly, so you have this massive shortage that's causing an issue for our elders and then leading on to our women entrepreneurs. So thank you for highlighting that, and I'd love to work with you to figure out more solutions.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is LJ Finney. My company is N18 LLC. We provide professional development through golf and focusing on helping businesses build their business through golf and using that as a tool. So I'm also a proud alumni of Contract Her. So shout out to Rebecca. My question is around payment terms and auditing of those processes. So Rebecca, you mentioned that a lot of small businesses are being put out of business because of timeliness of payment. What can we do, or how can we help support you in the advocacy around auditing the state payment as well as city payment and prime contractor payment timelines to ensure that small businesses are not put out of business trying to support these, these contracts and the payment terms not being realistic? Thank you.
Yeah, I can start off. I can tell you what I recommend as president, and then I'm going to tell you it's not enough and that there's more you should do. But so for subcontractors, one of the things that I think is important to identify is that you are hired to also do a scope of work, and there should absolutely be negotiation as a part of that. The first thing is your payment terms. It's one thing if a prime has accepted what an agency has told them, that is not your contract. And so one of the things is pushing forward what will work for you. And there's also, I talked a little bit about when to let go. When to let go piece is like, this person is not gonna pay me within 30 days. I know I need that to sleep at night, to pay my bills, to handle my contractors or my employees. That's a condition. The second thing I would say is the controller's office has done a lot in the last few years to really come into their own as an auditing agency, as a bit of a watchdog for fiscal compliance. And they have been a good resource when there's a problem to step in. The other entity I would say is a resource are chambers. There have been situations where we will find an MWB has a problem and we will roll up there and say what is going on. We will call who we need to call. And that's the sort of communal advocacy that we do. I think it's not enough because these are extreme situations I'm talking about. You're in business to look to see how you can grow. You don't want to turn around and say pay me or else, right? To a big entity, whether that be a prime or an agency. Unfortunately, that does exist. And so I think I think that's something that we need to continue to seek solutions for because it is frankly unacceptable.
Thank you, Rebecca. So I go to
Can I just add 3 things to what Rebecca said? So what you can also do too, especially when you become a subcontractor, make sure you have a subcontracting agreement in place that you can use as leverage for making sure you get paid on time. Number 2, if you have a New York State contract, in the New York State contract system, all the contracts are registered. So a lot of times you get audited from the state. So a lot of times you can say to your prime that you're, subcontractor, like, hello, I have to answer an audit next week. Can you please kindly pay me because I will let them know you're not paying me on time. Okay? And then number 3, New York City contracts has the checkbook NYC that you can go in and check and see when your prime got received payment, right? So then a lot of times I said, oh, you know what? It's funny you don't have the payment today. I've heard checkbook NYC. I saw you receive payment of the exact amount of money you can. So these are ways to check the check. Okay?
One sentence on this, I agree that it's not enough, and this is something that we grapple with on the state all the time. We get involved, my office personally, in really extreme examples when someone says it's been a year and a half and I haven't seen a dollar from the contract, but that's horrible, but it is normal that like 8 or 9 months is around the time. And I think one of the things that I feel is a generational kind of issue that we're going to have to deal with is that we come from a history of a lot of corruption in the state level. And that corruption has been linked to a lot of contracting. And so what you see is layers and layers and layers of bureaucracy meant to act as a check and balance and a safeguard against corruption, but really just becomes a barrier to progress. And so what we're trying to do is figure out how to strike that balance between appropriate due diligence and growth, and making sure that we're not standing in our own way in terms of our community growth. So we're working on it. It's a hard problem. And we'll talk about advocacy.
Thank you. And I want to add to that, there's a lot of things that we can do when it comes to payment. Yes, I'll get to you right. And one of them is, and I know the state's working on this right now, is the fund for MWBs to make sure that if you have a contract that you get a loan from the state to be able to perform on that contract. And also, when it comes to somebody, I think it was Keisha or Rebecca mentioned about having a subcontracting agreement, one of the things that I think is important for the state and the city to do is to provide legal services also for our MWBEs, because legal services are very, very expensive. You know that. A lawyer, $300, $400 an hour. So, and you're so happy to get that contract, so you signed it, right? While the prime contractor has a legal team looking at that, and forget about the city and state, they have a whole department about that. So it is important, I think that's one of the things also that's important that we provide our MWBs is the legal, legal services, so they can see if that contract is really something that they want to do or not. And then one of the things that also what I say is this, that we should be looking also at, look, if you owe payment to the city and state, they charge you interest, right? So why can we charge interest to the city and state for not paying us money? Right? And I think they will make an effort to pay us if that was the case, right? So just some suggestions there, because we're talking about business, and so we need to conduct things as such.
I would like to say good morning to the room, and I would also like to say congratulations to the panelists. Now, I have a question that I have a specific niche, and I have a mobile phlebotomy service that I go into the patient's home or place of convenience, and I do specimen collection. I'm hearing in the room a lot about contracts, and I'm having the problem that I have to reach the right target market. And I want to know, how do you reach those people, because I have a specific niche, and I'm also private pay, so I don't take insurance, because due to New York State, I'm not considered a professional, a board-certified professional such as a doctor or a nurse. So I just want to know, like, with restaurants, food, clothing, and all the other entities that's out there, how does it work for someone like me that has a specific niche? And I'm sure some of you in the room are probably falling in the same category such as I am.
Thank you. Somebody wants to answer that? Want to take that on?
I would say that there was a woman that's in our cohort class, and she talked about she has a mobile service that she is a doctor and she goes to people. And so sometimes I think, like, I own a bakery and I saw that there's contracts for providing sugar. So even though it's not, I'm not baking something, but if the school needs me to repackage sugar and bring it to somebody, that's something I can do. So what are things that maybe, like you have to expand, like look through the contracts, I think, and sometimes say, what can I do that's a little bit like what I want to do? or that's similar that you can expand. So that's where I would start, and I'm sure all of us would.
I think my voice is loud enough that everyone can hear me, but that's a little bit different when you're dealing with the medical field. So, and privacy and HIPAA and everything else. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, I'm very proactive. I go to a lot of networking events. I'm here in person. And even one of your panelists earlier, not your panelist, the woman that received one of your awards, she said you have to keep working your regular job